about you when you're about to create a mix and you're in the booth? Is it something that you premeditate? Like, do you stay up at night, or do you have dreams about like, oh man, this beat really needs to be like this one, like this is gonna be a great track? Or is it just kind of like, I'm in the moment, this is what I'm feeling right now?
I prepare. Preparation is everything. Whatever I'm doing, I do it for that city, for that club, for that place that I'm in for the night. I prepare that. It may not be in the order that I prepare it at first, but when you feel the crowd and what I can say is that sometimes you may have your night that's not so perfect, and that's because it just didn't click, It's just like chemistry with a person. You can talk to somebody and be like, yo, we clicked, like it happened. Every day I have a click. And if, I feel the stage, and even before performing, I have my moments where I'm like, okay, I'm about to perform. Maybe I'm a little nervous or thinking too much. And then there's a certain calm that just comes about you, and you're just like, I'm about to kill this place. And that's the click. That's the click. And I get it almost every night, sometimes, it just doesn't hit you, but.
So are there, those times where you just kind of feel like, wow, this crowd is like not really responding? Like, what do you do to overcome that?
It's what it is. Like, I'll give you an example. On this tour, I was under the impression, on one of my after parties, I was under the impression that the crowd that was at the show was gonna be at the party. So I thought I was rocking for hip hop heads, and it was this and that, So we ended up going to the club, and it was an hour away. So I'm like, all right. So we driving for an hour, fell asleep in the car, and I'm like, so anyway, we get to the spot, and I'm like, yo, y'all ready for some hip hop? And they're like, yeah, but it was like, eh. So I'm playing hip hop, and then the lights were like blinding me. I couldn't really see the crowd, and I was just like, yo, I'm not sure if they're not reacting so great, So I'm feeling it, and by the time I really caught on that they kind of wanted dance music, I had already been on for like a half hour or so. So then, I started playing some dance music, and I'm seeing a reaction, but the crowd wasn't as big as it was, And, I'm saying this because this happens to me. I've been in this business for a long time. It happens, It's nothing to be shy of. Everybody can, be the big dog and talk about how they're perfect every night, but it's not the case, So.
Yeah.
But,
well, that's cool. I feel like you are a really real person. Yeah. I appreciate that you said that. So you've worked with so many different artists, and you've had the chance, like we said before, you've been everywhere twice. And where do you feel like you want to go next? Like, do you feel like there's somebody else out there that you're like, man, I can't wait to work with them?
It doesn't really happen like that. I'll say that when I was a kid, I would DJ in my room and imagine that I was spinning on the radio, or imagine that I was spinning for Run DMC, like that was my thing. When I got started, I got a call from guys that I went to school with, which was EPMD, but I graduated a year before Eric Sermon, so I wasn't doing the parties in the school no more. Another DJ was, so they picked him. So I was like, man, I missed. Like, if I was around, they probably would have called me, but whatever. But something happened with that DJ, and I finally did get the call. So that's what really got me in the business. And ever since then, like I said, the body of work makes people just start calling. So I never actually target an artist that I want to work with. But when I get the call, it's just like, wow, I got a call one day to go to Manhattan, with someone who worked with Puff, and he was like, can you be in Manhattan in 2 hours? And I was like, sure, why, what you got? He was like, yeah, just be in Manhattan, I'm gonna send you the info, and he didn't tell me who I was spinning for, so I was like, all right, so I figured it was Puff, because this is one of Puffy's producers. So I drive in the city, and I go up the elevator, it was like 8th floor or something. I remember everything, by the way. So when I'm walking down the hall and I'm hearing music, and I'm like, okay, I'm trying to, what record is that? I don't know the song. And then I open the door, and it's Jay-Z performing in front of like a band, and some DJ was scratching, and And I was like, all right. So I'm just sitting there, and he performed like 5 or 6 records, and then he walks over to me and he's like, so basically what I'm trying to do is, you know, I'm doing this band thing, so I'm trying to keep the element of, I know I'm talking low, but this is how he's talking. The element of hip hop in this one, you know, so those certain things that you cut into a record to just keep it hip hop. And I was like, so I had already took notes in my BlackBerry, so I was like, already the songs. I didn't even know the songs because he never did them before. This is the first time hearing these records, and they were for American Gangster, that album that he did. So the only 2 songs that I did know was the Rock Boys and Blue Magic. Those are the only 2 songs that were out on the radio, but everything else was brand new. So I was just like, whoa, you know. But I made my notes, what to scratch. So then they were like, he was like, all right, cool. So I'm thinking I'm gonna spin. They were like, okay, 4-5, come on. So I go into another room. They're fitting me for a tux. I'm like, what's going on? I'm doing VH1 Storytellers the next day.
Wow. So
I'm like, no rehearsal or nothing. So I was glad that I did those notes. So they were like, we got a 6 a.m. call time, got to be in Brooklyn, and here's the address, and pick up your tux before you go. It's crazy. It was crazy.
Wow.
So I ended up doing Storytellers Jay-Z from a phone call. You know what I'm saying? So this is how it works, which was kind of messed up because I was actually working for Fabulous at the time, and they were like, we got like 14 shows after this, and I was like, I'm about to go overseas to open for 50 Cent. So they were like, next! So that was my Jay-Z performance.
Wow.
One show. It's televised, I got to see it.
Hey, you got it on record.
Right, exactly. So, you know, but, and it's funny, you know, I saw Jay after that and was like, you know, you remember me? I was a DJ. He was like, yeah, what's up?